Hey everyone, Nismo D21 here, and today I want to talk about tire pressure real quick and the importance of setting it correctly. There's a lot of information out there on how to do this, and there's a lot of misinformation on how to do it improperly. So let's just start by saying that the pressure rating that is written on the sidewall is not the ideal pressure for your particular vehicle. This is the maximum pressure that this tire can handle in any circumstance. So this particular tire here says that maximum pressure is 44 pounds per square inch. That is not what you want to run this tire at. This is a little Nissan hard body pickup truck, and today we are hauling a cup of coffee. There's no reason to have this set to 44 psi. And here's what happens when you have your tires set too high. You end up with a very jarring ride, and you end up wearing out the center of the tread because it is pushed out with air pressure. So this is actually the only part of the tire that is running down the road. So it wears out this part first, and you'll see that you have good tread on the outside edge here because that's not contacting the road. Conversely, if you're running too low a tire pressure, this part of the tire and this part of the tire will wear out first, and the center will look rather new or less worn than the outside edges. So how do you set the tire pressure correctly for your vehicle? Well, you got the owner's manual. The most unread book on the planet is the owner's manual for any vehicle. 2, look inside your glove box. There will be should be a data plate that tells you the tire size, the factory tire size, and then what the tire pressure should be cold, not hot, cold. You can compensate for if it's a hot tire. So if you drive it up to the gas station and the gas station's 5 miles away, you can, compensate, a couple pounds here and there to take up the slack for a hot tire. The other place that you will find, especially on these Nissan trucks here, is that you're going to find that your tire pressure data is written right here on the placard card right inside the door. And for some reason this camera does not want to focus on it, or it does and then it goes out of focus. You'll see that it says that it's got 195, 75 14s, 26 pounds, or 35 pounds. 35 pounds is going to be if the truck's carrying a load. 26 is going to be if it's just going down the road as like a car, unloaded. So what I do, I found that 26 pounds is actually a little too low for this truck. It starts to wallow and handle very poorly, almost like it's got flat tires. So for me, since the engine's in the front and the transmission's just behind that, and most of the weight of the truck is up here, these tires I set at 32 pounds. That gives them room to heat up. So if I'm going down the road, I'll end up with 35 pounds after driving about 5-10 miles, and then they'll cool down to about 32 pounds when they cool off. The rears here, if I know I'm carrying something or I'm towing something, I will bump these up to about 35 pounds. But if I'm carrying what I'm carrying today, which is just a nice hot cup of coffee, there's no need for that. So in my experience, 28 pounds on this particular truck and my hard body, the green hard body autocross truck, just going down the road, 28 pounds to 30 pounds is going to be sufficient. Anything above that, you start to run into what I call, or what the industry calls, bump steer. And that's where the truck overreacts to imperfections in the road, and you're driving down the road overcompensating because the rear end is bouncing all over the place. You got to figure that there is nothing back here for weight. I mean, the box is rather light. 2 people can lift that up. You're not towing anything. You don't have 500 pounds in the bed at all. So it's just basically you're transporting air. So you don't need 35 pounds back here unless you really want to. You're going to experience a very bumpy, jarring ride. And that's what I was experiencing with this thing this past week. I'm still sorting it out. We just got this thing off the jack stands after a fresh suspension rebuild. Every bushing, every nut and bolt, everything is brand spanking new under here. So it's kind of like we're in uncharted territory. We're really sorting the thing out. So when I say we, I mean the figurative we, me and the truck, we're sorting ourselves out here. So, you know, and we're not running factory tire sizes anymore. 195 75 14s are what this truck had on it. It's now got 225 70R 15s on the rear because of the high or the low gear ratio. I'm trying to keep the RPMs down slightly. And we're running 215 60 15s on the front, which give me a little bit of a suspension through the sidewall and a little bit of handling there at the same time. You know, with a bigger diameter wheel, you know, it handles differently than if it had the little narrow 195 75s on it. So we're in uncharted territory. They don't really have a book written on what the tire pressures are supposed to be on this thing if you change the tires to what I have here. So through trial and error, I'm going to set it at what I have my other truck set at. And I've already taken this down the road and the improvement is tenfold. It's crazy how much it has improved the drive. But what set me off was that I noticed we were bump steering really bad. Areas that, you know, I know are rough were absolutely jarring. And so when I put the tire pressure gauge on this thing, they had set the tires to their maximum tire pressure, which is 44 pounds. So that is not how you set your tires. Just letting you know. If it says 35 pounds on the sidewall, that does not mean that this vehicle is going to take 35 pounds to ride properly. You put 35 pounds in there, the tire may be able to handle it, but you may have a very jarring ride. So it's very important that you look inside the vehicle to find what the manufacturer says the tire pressure is supposed to be, and then set it from there. And then you can vary it. Like as I said, I have to vary this because this is not stock by any means. And of course, 35 pounds in the rear according to the door tag is if I'm, you know, preparing to haul stuff. This truck barely hauls anything. I'm pretty sure it would be able to haul this coffee okay, but you know, may not get all there. So I just thought I would tune in and give you guys a little bit of an update on that. If you find that your truck is driving around and it is absolutely a jarring ride and it's breaking your back and every bump is causing you to squirrel all over the road, I would start by checking to make sure your tire pressure is set correctly. I would make sure that the rear of the vehicle is not set too high if you're not carrying anything, because that's going to make it so you're basically driving on boulders going down the road. And that's not a very enjoyable experience at all. Now is it, Jet? Nope. Okay. So thanks for tuning in, guys. There goes my paint. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys, and leave me a comment below and subscribe if you like this, and I'll bring you more videos in the future. Take it easy now. Bye-bye.